Okay, so welcome and selamat datang to all participants. So today we gonna have our session for design thinking based on TRL, and this is our last program for novice stage for this cohort. So maybe we will have another session maybe end of the year, towards the end of the year. So yeah, without further ado, I will invite Dr. Rashid to deliver the sharing. Okay, so Dr. Rashid, dipersilakan.
Inshallah, thank you. One moderator, Puan Siti. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to all my friends. I can see most of my friends who we have met at many platforms, not only also here. Some of you, I believe, about the topic that I'm going to share today, many of you might be an expert already in certain way. And Dr. Adib is there, already entrepreneur. So the purpose of the sharing was informed. This is second time we run it. We call repeat order lah. Kepada semua perkongsian syarah-syarah di UTM insyaAllah yang is going to venture themselves into so-called technology startup in a way. Yeah, tadi kalau kat UTM panggil spin-off lah because you have to file an IP and so on. So my sharing today is going to be a very casual in a way, sharing of a bit of my experience going through this design thinking in many different platforms and how we can engage or adapt design thinking on the research that we believe is going to consume our time until the rest of our retirement at UTM in a way. And also, of course, we are expecting a greater impact other than filling the time. But of course, we want to give some, we call economic and social impact after all, because as we know outside there, people out there are looking at university at a very high level. Sebab tu dia panggil university Menara Gading. So it's very expensive, exclusive and so on up there. But we have to believe that we are also human and then we have our roles in order to contribute back to the society and at large and as well as the nation. Okay, let me share my slides then. Hold on, yeah. Okay, I hope everyone can see my slides. Yeah.
Ya, Dr. Boleh.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hold on. I just want to adjust my screen. I'm using two screens. Okay, so the topic that I'm going to share with you, all my friends here, are design thinking for practical technology readiness level (TRL), and then this is, I think, a part of IQBEX series for staff who are going to do some sort of research that go towards commercialization, right? So my name is Abdul Rashid bin Hussein. And then at the moment, I'm the director for Center for Student Innovation and Technology Entrepreneurship, UTM Exact. So those are a bit of my profile. I started as an engineer after I graduated a long time ago. And then I continued my master and PhD with the stated places there, university. So I'm from School of Electrical Engineering, going to be faculty very soon. And then I'm very much interested on the product developments and venture, the creation of value from products towards achieving certain level of commercialization. I'm not established any spin-off or anything yet, but I'm assisting many out there, and then most of the time I assisting the students in order to venture into the product developments and startups. The top there is my photo at Bakun quite some time ago, still handsome until now, right? And then Dr. Adib might be laughing back there. And then the photo down there is my during my school time. I think this is tingkatan 4 kot, atau tingkatan 5, joining science competition MRSM balik pulau, I think. I was in San Kuantan, and then we joined at Bali Pulau. Okay, how I just put the two photo there just to give indication to all of us how fast the time flies. Yeah, it's really fast. As you've been 30 years out there, and then you can see that memory is still fresh. All right, Dr. Nick. Okay. Next, what we're going to cover today is a little bit of this. Not everything in detail because it's 3 hours. I've done the design thinking 3 times. I've done it so 1.5 day. Sorry, 1.5 day, and then I've done the 5 days, and I've done it a bit more on rather casual way. But basically, I try to share with you this. Design thinking, what we call the 5 steps design thinking approach. If you are following some other design thinking like the Harvard, they name it the 3 steps. But anyway, if you look at the detail of the process, it's pretty much the same. It has to be user-centered design. It's not the designer-centered. It has to be user-centered. We ask the people out there, what do they want? Okay, how do I fulfill your needs? So basically, design thinking, shifting from what you believe in design, and then shifting from there, you are adapting what the users want. So that's the most important thing of design thinking, and which I find that we are in Asia a bit lack in terms of conceiving or understanding the user in a empathetic way. Yeah. Okay. So that is a part I'm going to share today, inshallah. Okay. So just a bit of data. Just this, we just want going to start. If you look at the COVID now, it's going to look very good. Now, I still remember that a year ago, everyone like sitting in front of the TV and so on, look at the numbers in a scary way. And then now it seems like not so many people are worried about the numbers anymore, but they're worried about when they can go out and then do their own activity, and which the many of the restrictions have been lifted. So I think everyone will be happy, Alhamdulillah. But still, we have to take care of ourselves because we do not know if the Allah chose us to be in a difficult situation. May this be easy for us because we have seen around us, COVID is not so strange anymore. It's just like next door, it's everywhere. Probably some of us in this group also have been experiencing COVID. Inshallah, I pray to Allah, and everyone should pray that everyone should be okay, inshallah. So if you look at the statistics out there, and then I think everyone was informed that if the ICUs, ventilator, hospital bed, PKRC is low, and then we can do our activity freely, inshallah. Okay, a bit of I'm not saya tak main saham, tapi when you want to be inventor, somehow these numbers somehow is very crucial, especially for those who are doing business. Even though you don't play stocks exchange and so on, but the number is crucial in a way. But for example, the oil price it hits above 1,100 USD. This is pretty good. Yeah, I think the budget that the government tabled last year, I think it was pegged at 60 US dollar. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we have basically about 50 US dollar extra as according to the budget. So this is good news for us as Malaysian because we are the so-called oil producing nation. So this is a good thing. But of course, for those who are using RON 97, you're going to feel the pain a little bit in a way, and then we start to see that the increase in the price and so on. But anyway, we should have some surplus in our budget. But anyway, I'm not a economics kind of guy, but pretty much the number is something that's meaningful to most of us. Yeah. All right. Next one is palm oil, commodities. Commodity, so I think this is something have to do with the war in the West at the moment, yeah. So banyak makanan apa semua tak cukup lah. If you look at the price of the flour, gandum mahal sekarang. So I think because of the issue in the West, but this is going to benefit many of us. If the research for those who are doing research in palm oil, for example, kutip sawit ke, minyak ke, and so on, these are good things which imply that with the rise of the price, and then hopefully there's more spillover the budget in this. I was approached one of a big company in Malaysia to do some mechanism of to cut or prune, not only pruning, but cut to take the fruits, the palm oil fruits. Although we see that the fruit is mature, but it's really not, yeah. The openings in the area is still very large and huge. Okay, proud to be UTM, Alhamdulillah. I've been here for 22 years, I think, this year. So everyone here, I hope I've been here quite for some times. So this is our beloved working place. We are going to spend here pretty much a long time, yeah. Kalau panjang umur, I think everyone have to spend here a long time, and we should love this place very much, as I shared with many of my friends who are going to do the startup and so on. I will share with them. If you want to do startup, yes, it's good for you. And then also remember that all the knowledge bank that we have, all the name that we have now is actually built because we are UTM. And it is very difficult if you want to build that so-called name if you are somewhere else in a way. So Alhamdulillah, we should be grateful to this. Just want to share with you some of the photo, even though I know many of you have seen the photo. Sometimes if you look at the photo, it's again, it's a good reflection as a university and we as a person who stay in the university and work in university. And look at the dataran science. Like busuk tu ada lagi. Anyone from dataran science? Sorry, anyone from science faculty here? I think the busuk is still there, right? The one covered by the green trees there. Then dataran science. I'm not sure why the busuk is still there anyway. And then you look at the left, the photo of the colleges and the entrance. Those was last time. This is what we are now. Alhamdulillah. You look at it's a lot of great work have been done by people who lead the UTM before in many ways. So this is where we are now. Alhamdulillah, should be grateful to what have been given to us in a way to, and then this is on our shoulder to carry on this so-called amanah lah kot, amanah to make sure that UTM minimum at this level and to be higher in any way, in any, even not only the landscape, the people inside there, even the ranking and so on, as to make sure it's still a global prominent. All right. Okay, enough of that. So a bit more towards the topic that I want to share. If many of you aware that the global innovation is being measured. So this is something that we cannot deny. As a nation, we, Malaysia as a nation, we are being measured. Yeah. So I just want to take one of the report on the innovation, which is Global Innovation Index, GII. Those are the people out there that are preparing the report, WIPO, Cornell, and then INSEAD, and then those are the sponsors down there. Now, Huawei no longer a sponsor. Last time, Huawei was one of the sponsors of the report. It's not. The report's very thick. If you read, I think more than 400 pages, something like that. But this is very good. There are many other reports as well. The economists, for example, published the report as well. World Bank also published the report as well. But I like this one because it has some criteria I think is related to we as a higher education. The explanation on that is more. So I just share with you the one in 2020. I think the 2021 is already been released as well, but I didn't look at it yet. So see, this is again, just take a look. As a researcher, I really, really encourage for you to take at least one innovation performance of country being measured. If you're not reading GII, probably you just look into World Bank report or economist report. We see that how we position, how Malaysian position themselves. And remember, one of the pillars is research. Yeah. Okay, just want to share a bit of the output of the report of 2020 on the Global Innovation Index. They categorized all the nation into three categories. The first one is high income groups. They call it high income groups. And then the second one, middle income groups. And the middle income groups, they split into two. They call it upper middle income group, and Malaysia in that categories. And then the other one, the low middle income groups, and then Vietnam, Ukraine, and India in that income group, in that group. And then the other one is low income group, as listed in the list here. So if you look at high income group, they call it high income economies. I think we heard about this word so many times during previous year. They are called high income nation, high income nation. Basically, they just want to borrow, they take from the one of the indices being reported. So if you look at the high income, if you look at the ranking, most of the one that so-called innovative in their definition are the high income nation, yeah, high income nation. So if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10, if you look at the top 10, it's only two Asian Asia boleh break through, which is Singapore and Korea. There's only two. Korea, I think the first time they go into the top 10. Singapore's been there quite for some times. Number 7, number 8, something like that. And then Switzerland and Sweden, there's always interchange, but most of the time it's Switzerland, the so-called the one that has the highest rank. And if you look at the upper middle income economies in a way, and we are number 2, not bad, yeah. It's really not bad in this sense. So we are doing well. I remember the conversation I have one of the business strategy of ABB. He was Indonesian. He is Indonesian, and our conversation was in Sweden. And then when the ABB want to come to ASEAN, there's 10 countries in ASEAN. So when they want to expand the business, so this Indonesian guy, my friend, Dr. Rudy, they have to assess. So when they assess, of course they want to bring the business to Indonesia because it boleh balik kampung kan. But anyway, from the assessment, it's very true and very real. Singapore number 1, and then Malaysia is number 2. Well, of course, they cannot go to Singapore because it's be expensive. They come to Malaysia. So in a way, we are in a good position in many aspects. All right. In overall, we are number 33, not bad. And then if you look at the most of the people that above us are high income nation, even with its rank 32, Slovenia, and then UAE also a high income nation. So this is not bad. These are the pillars. They call the pillars. Where they are assessing us, all the nation they're assessing, institution, human capital, and research. So there's a chapter they're discussing about this. Human capital research, they're talking about education, how the higher education level, how the TVET education supporting the business and the industry. They're talking about tertiary education, and they're talking about research and development, R&D. And then they have new one, innovation. And they're talking about the infrastructure, the highway and so on. They're talking about market sophistication and the banks inside there, business sophistication. There are the inputs, and the output is knowledge and technology outputs. Basically, the output they are measuring how many IPs you produce a nation, how many competition they have done, financial support and so on. And a creative output is something that is tangible. I'm not sure this index on the creative how they really measure because it's sometimes quite difficult to put into numerical term. Yeah. All right. So these are the rank of Malaysia by all the pillars. You can look at here. You can download this. It's for free. It's available. So most of the thing is not bad at all. But a bit worrying us is if you look at the institution, we are number 40. Yeah. The rank is 33, but institution with 40. What really bring us up is really if you look at the element is human capital and research. We are not that bad. Yeah, we're not that bad. And then the other one, market sophistication. All right, those are like the global picture of how we position ourselves, and then this is about how we put our talent, how we design our talent to fulfill the so-called market economy. And if you look at 2015 to 2020, the top 10 skills, all of us here, I believe, all of us here are the master of very good in complex problem solving, how you want to solve a problem, a complex problem with many skills that you have. And if you look at here, there are people management. And if you look at 2020, it's still number 4, people management. And then number 2020, they are talking about coordinating with others. So as researchers, it's always a must to work in group. And it's always a must how to manage a group of people with different skills together towards accomplishing one vision. And that's not easy. That's not easy. I know that because we are doing PhD in different areas, especially for those who are doing engineering and scientific, technical and so on. We are focusing on finding one scientific problem, and most of the time we work alone in the lab. So when you try to go for bidding a big project, you have to work with 2 or 3. We start to be probably that's the first time we are working intensively more aggressively with other people. We start to know the character and so on, and we start to recognize it's not that easy. But anyway, these are the skills that is required for us. And then we look at the future, which is 2035. If you look at now, the highest one is analytical thinking and innovation, and complex problem solving is down there. So when we're talking about innovation, is something that when you design something, what is the impact? So linking of what you do with what the impact is very getting more and more important in the moment. Yeah. And then some of the skill they combine, but I just want to highlight from the future, they are talking about this number 7 and 8. Technology use, monitoring and control, technology design and programming. This had not been mentioned in any report before, but in 2035, they categorize this as a soft skill. So maknanya soft skill ni dia susah sikit nak measure kan. So most of the time they are talking about work in group and so on. But now they are talking about how you are using technologies, monitoring. So there is everyone have to have this skill. So so-called hard skill now become a soft skill that everyone have to acquire and to have it in order to be quote unquote relevant. Yeah, relevant. So I think this is something to do with IR 4.0, and then with the current trend of a computer is available quite everywhere. I remember that when I did a simulation for my undergraduate, the computer that I use quite bulky, and then I think it's probably 1/100th of the 1% pada capacity of your phone now. So because our phone now is a computer by itself, so many things can be done quite handy now, and then handy programming, so it's become a must skill for everyone. Yeah. So there's a heavy report on the World Economic Forum on this as well. You can take a look. All right. Anyway, I just want to share with you. If I know that most of you know this guy, Elon Musk. Probably my time we're talking about Bill Gates, and then later we're talking about Mark Zuckerberg and so on. Now we're talking about Elon Musk, how he's being the richest man, probably number one and number two with Jeff Bezos. But he's the one so-called the innovator in the modern world. How he view world differently. For example, he's an inventor of Tesla, the electric car. So he doesn't want to name Tesla as electric car. He's saying autonomous car. What is different? Electric car is the one that drive pacuan, but if you're talking more autonomous car, you are talking about bigger. Because in Tesla, sorry. Okay, so for Tesla, they believe on imitating human intelligence. So that's why if you look at the Tesla car, they use image to process and do navigation. And if in contrast to other manufacturers, most of the manufacturers of electric car for autonomous, including BMW and Mercedes, they are using more sensors in order to do navigation. This Elon Musk, they believe on mazhab berbeza lah dalam pembangunan autonomous car ni. He say that human when they drive and then make good reasoning when driving based on camera processing. So with that, so they say that now we are going to have camera and process the image. So as simple as that. So that's why Tesla car they have more cameras, and camera is cheap, compared to LiDAR. If I'm not mistaken, the LiDAR, the lab test for the LiDAR alone is 50k ringgit lah. So kalau satu kereta ada 5 LiDAR dah 250k, 250k. So how much you want to sell the car anyway at the end? Yeah. So this is quite expensive. But when you use a camera, the processing is more on the intelligence inside there, which when everyone can do programming very fast, and then it's going to reduce, because most of the time the cost is on the hardware. The software or the intelligence slowly is going to be reduced as the time goes, because some of the intelligence is very much structured in a way. Yeah. Okay. So with that, Tesla, just want to share with you with our own Malaysian working in Tesla. So Fakirah Khairuddin, I think is 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And I really like the caption here. Was written by someone. I'm so happy that no supervisor took credit for her research and ideas, and as the prevalent practice here nowadays, goes to show that how far our student can go to the right tutelage and qualified instructor embracing for the heat for those guilty of practice. So yang ni saya pesan kawan-kawan, if we work together with student, give due credit to student as well. Sometimes, yeah, we are supervisor, it's okay. But if you think that the brilliant idea that spark everything also coming from the students because they work hard, and we have to give due credit to them. So this is something that as a bukti lah kalau kita raikan mereka, mereka pun akan raikan kita banyak insyaAllah. Alright, okay, that's enough of teaser lah, teaser. So now we go back to design thinking. Okay, design thinking, it started modern, we call it now modern way of conducting design thinking was, if you want to take a look at HBR, Harvard Business Review, the article in 2008, design thinking by Tim Brown. Tim Brown was a professor at Stanford. And then this article received 1,554 citations of what is design thinking all about. So basically, he said that in the article, when you are, I think he used not Tesla. I think he used Thomas Alva Edison as an example. So that when you're designing something, it's not only that product, but you design an ecosystem as a whole. You design a product where the product should go later. And in development of product, who's need to be around you. And that part also he designed. So he's basically like the mastermind of the ecosystem as a whole. So the roots of design thinking is something like that in a short, yeah. And then he continued with more action, more detail of the conduct of design. And then he followed another article, Design for Action. This article also being cited, not that many, 53, because it's quite detailed in terms of design. And then design thinking out there, I remember that this quotation I got it from Gino Vasi. 1 day and a half, 13,250, 13,250 ringgit. It's very, very expensive for 1.5 days. And to my surprise, there are many top CEOs, general managers from companies attended the courses because it was conducted by the design school. Sorry, the school of Stanford from the IDEO. So they came here for 1.5 days. I didn't attend this one. This is later. I just want to check the price, how much they offer. And then the one that I attended was this one. Even I also didn't manage to attend because I fall sick. I passed to a friend of mine, Dr. Lim, to attend because we attended the other one before. So that time, 8,500 ringgit was still very expensive, I think. But we got some budget, and then we went. One of us went there, and then now it's conducted by our local people. Still at 3,900 ringgit for 3 days. This is better. Design thinking, I think, if you conduct for 3 days and above, will be better because we'll be more involved in terms of design. Yeah. So this is the company that conduct the design thinking out there. Okay, what design thinking anyway? Design thinking is a creative and innovative problem solving method. So when you're talking about sometimes, how do you know you are creative and how do you know you're innovative? We can claim ourselves, and then you can do many assessment that are available online. You can check whether you are left brain, right brain. Most of the creative people, you can score higher on the right brain. For host of scientific, like numerical, finance, numbers. Most of the time when you write, you try to under the score, you'll be on the left side, and you can see that your left brain is bigger in a way in the answer. But this is something that they try to balance those. And then the focus of design thinking is centered around the users. This is also named user-centered design. If you read the article, sometimes you call it human-centered design, user-centered design, and then everything's there is actually design thinking. Yeah. Design thinking was first described by Nobel Prize laureate Herbert Simon in the article "The Science of the Artificial" in 1969. And then later, daripada tu dia berkembang in many form in a way that is going to give many variation of design thinking. I want to share with a video, but the one video I share here is a bit slow. I want to open my, hold on it. I want to open my, let me check. Let me check. Hopefully I can share this one. Oops. Uh, okay, what do you guys see now on the screen?
I see someone carrying a batu.
Big stone on the, okay, thank you. And that's the right image because I worry that I shared the wrong screen. Okay, so enjoy the video about for 3 minutes, yeah? All right.
Wanted to move something, we had to carry it.
Can you hear
As time
that?
went on, we were able to solve this problem
Okay, Doctor.
and millions of others. In life, we're always bumping into new problems. And while we have the desire to solve them, it's often hard to find the right solution or even know where to start. That's where design thinking comes in. Design thinking is a process that seeks to solve complex problems by approaching it from the user's perspective. It also aims to turn your ideas into tangible, testable products as quickly as possible. The design thinking framework can be drilled down into three distinct phases: version, ideation, and implementation. But if we zoom in a little bit, these phases can be broken down into five actionable stages that make up the entire design thinking process: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. In the empathize stage, you'll get to know your target audience and paint a clear picture of who the users are, what challenges they face, and what they need. This can be achieved through interviews, user testing, surveys, basically by talking to people and understanding how they think, act, and feel. Based on what you learn, you'll then define your problem statement. When creating your problem statement, focus on the user's needs over the business goals. Keeping it human centered is the theme here. This problem statement will act as your North Star. If you start to trail off or get lost, just look back to the problem statement to refocus. With our problem statement defined, we're ready to ideate. Keep in mind, innovation is rarely born in isolation. So don't fly solo. Get up from your desk, cubicle, or spaceship, gather some key individuals from other teams, and collaborate. The name of the game is quantity over quality. So think outside of the box and explore new angles. There are many ideation techniques to get you and your team started. A great reference is our Design Thinking Handbook by Eli Woolery. Check it out at designbetter.com. Next stop, prototyping. Prototypes come in all shapes and sizes, from basic paper models to interactive digital mockups. The goal is to have something tangible that can be tested on real people. Getting your prototype into the hands of real users will give you great insight on if the solution you provided is valid or if it needs some more work. Based on their feedback, you can make changes and improvements before spending the time and money building the real thing. Although these steps appear to be sequential, keep in mind, design thinking is less linear and more iterative. At each stage, you'll most likely discover new things that require you to go back and repeat a previous step. And there you have it, design thinking in a nutshell. Now get out there and start applying design thinking to your work today. You'll be glad you did. For more information on design thinking, head on over to envisionapp.com/inside design, and we'll see you in the next video.
All right, so that is share my videos. Hold on, I go back to my slides. Oops. Okay, what do you see from the video? Basically, there's a 5 steps, and then of course, I'm going to cover the steps that we mentioned in the video. But the most important, I think, the two most important thing is say that get up and do it. So design thinking ni lebih berbeza dengan normal designer. Designer just to go sit down and you imagine and then you draw and then you try to converge together, you read papers and you merge, something like that. But if you look at design thinking, it's really immersive design experience. You have to go out and you ask the user what do they want. It's more, this goal is bigger than your business goal or bigger than your other goal, institutional goal, and so on. It has to be like a new mindset of what do they really want. Yeah, and in order to do so, you have to be immersive in such a way that you are a part of the user, and then from there you start to explain. I think they are experiencing something else, something like that, right? Okay, now, so what is the difference between design thinking and conventional approach? It is a user-centered approach. The users are involved in the design process, addressing the user needs and experience. This is an example. I have a pathway there. I walk, right? The people walk here. And then, of course, this is a landscape architecture. They design the pathway this way. But anyway, at the end, the user use differently. We cannot blame the user. Kau ni asyik suka jalan pendek, shortcut je. It's not that. Yeah, it's not that. I think why don't designers, before they design this pathway, even though for kasi cantik ke design pokok, and then why don't you ask the user, how do they want and observe? We're going to see the step. And from there, probably you got a different view of the landscape design for this place. Yeah, we just step back a little bit and ask the user, what do they want? So if we, because it's very important, because when the product's finished and then the user likes something else, and then that's one of the ways, one of the reasons why the product didn't go, or why the product doesn't really meet the requirement. So this has really to be catered at the beginning of the design, which is called the empathy. So this is an example, yeah. What is next? I'm going to share with you the 5-stage design model, DT model. If you look at the top one, understand, explore, materialize. This is more like other model, but anyway, it covers the 5 steps. And if you look at the internal one, empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test, and implement. So it's going to be 6 steps. If you read some documents on design thinking, sometimes they mention about 6, 3, and 5. Doesn't matter which step do you follow, but as long as they cover this so-called the core activity of design thinking, they should be okay. And again, in the design thinking, I think the video also mentioned that this is not linear, but rather iterative. So that means when you finish the emphasize part, you go to define. And when you go to the define, you find out that, the design statement I built is not good enough because I don't have enough data. I need to go back. So if you're define, you can go back to emphasize, go and engage the user again. It's okay. And sometimes you emphasize and define, you know that the define, you believe that the output of define is good. You go to idea, you start to generate ideas of finding the problem, and you find out, this is not something that user want, because the user comes, I don't want this. And then you can go back to define and you go back to emphasize. So that's mean the process can really back and forth in a way. And why do we do this? Because in order to optimize the cost of development of all the product. Because this is cheap. This is more activities, finding ideas, best solution before we are building the so-called the true prototype. The prototype in this case is something that can be experienced by user in a very limited setup of time frame, something like that. I just want to share with you, you can Google and read this successful product by following the design thinking. This is a company called PillPack. It is a startup in resident at IDEO. IDEO is one of the design thinking consultant at Stanford there. So this guy not a businessman by design. He's a TJ Parker is pharmacist. Elon Cohen is computer science and neuroscience, just like us. They are hardcore left brain people who are more very scientific in a way, but they know that people, the one that prescribe to the drugs, you have the called drug obat. Over there, because over in US, the doctor, you go to got prescription. When you got prescription, you go to pharmacist. Pharmacist the one who give you the drugs, ubat lah. And then they found out the business is quite big, and that the requirement of the user is very complicated in a way. Diabetic nak pakai ubat apa, orang yang ada sakit apa ni, mental health macam lain. It's very, very refined, and you need a lot of work inside that. And then this is the idea where they spark, and then they want to sort this one out. At the end, they come up with a PillPack. So they refine their ideas. Look at here, 2013, they start only with 50 customers, 50 je. They go to IDEO, they start to conceive everything what the user wants. They expand to 31 states in the US. At the end, because the orders more and more, because the user really like the service being given and the way they develop the product in a way. So up to automation involved. So they pack the dosages in packing, and then they use robot even to handle that and automation. And in 2018, the company was bought by Amazon at 753 million. It's very good price, I think. I think this is one of the goals of established startup. If you have the value of your company is higher and higher, if you think you want to let it go at a good price and then do it, I think this is one of the target. Because for big company, usually they want to maneuver, want to adjust, to adapt to new innovation or create innovation. It's very difficult because they are big. Kapal besar, dia nak tukar direction tu, there lot of things need to be involved. But for startup, everything's flexible. CEO pun kena cuci kena cuci lantai, kena mop kan. Pasal datang kalau nak hire is very difficult. I think Dr. Faizuan pun ada dalam ni, Dr. Adib ramai dalam ni. I think those are CEO of their own company or spin-off. So you have the experience of you managing business as well. You have to do the mop lantai, tengok tingkap kotor sebab nanti customer datang. So this is the beauty of having startup. So like this guy, TJ Parker and Cohen, and then at the end they sell, they make acquisition by the bigger company. And this is more social enterprise. They did in Ghana. The team tried to resolve some of the I think social challenges in Ghana. So they conceived the idea, and then they found out that if they can solve only one problem, they are happy over that, which is about cleanliness of the toilet lah kat sana. I'm not sure how the condition there. But from the report, they mentioned that they engaged the IDEO again, the team of IDEO, and then their local government, which is here the Water Sanitation for Urban Poor, they call WSUP, and then they managed to call the team as a clean team. This is more social enterprise. There's some basic social entrepreneurship behind that. And then at the moment when I wrote about this report, is about 500 people in Kumasi, subscribe to the service. Yeah, I think the number is growing. There are many other products I want to share with you. And then these are, when we mentioned about design thinking, I like to point mouse. Mouse is a very classic case where they develop mouse based on design thinking. If you remember last time when the computer was invented was by IBM. So IBM, they use everything keyboard. So you have to remember Control C, Control V, alternate tab and so on in order to switch window and to call some command. But this is really not human way of doing stuff. So when the Macintosh comes out with I'm not sure whether they call Apple it. I think they call Macintosh. And then they come up with we should have some device that is easy for human to maneuver when they are controlling computers. So this is where the mouse was come out after they're following the design thinking process, what you want, what you to do, how to click, why use computer, blah, blah. At the end, they come up with one. This is a mouse that we see. It's not only the first prototype. I think it's probably more than 100 prototypes and so on. I remember the first mouse that we have only one button to click. And later they have two buttons to click, and they're talking about the rolling. If you want to move up and down screen, you have to move the mouse up and down. But now you have the button, the roller up there. They have an encoder inside there, so you don't need to move mouse. Only a small movement of mouse, it can control quite everything in the computer. This is very revolutionary product and so on. You can go to Embrace. Embrace is there is the results of one of master class, I think, MBA class, but they're following design thinking. All right. Of course, for those who like to do design thinking more on academic matter, not really like the building product and so on. If you want to study the process and so on, there are some articles inside there, very good article about the design thinking and so on. Feel free to go. Okay, now we go to the first process, which is empathize or empathy for the nouns, or the word is empathize. Empathy is a process of trying to understand the situation and to have an insight from the user's perspective. So this is like the core of the design thinking, I could say. You really need to understand the situation, and you really need to have some insight. I didn't say understand the user, you have to have some insight. So sometimes the user, they want something, but they are not able to express what they want. This is normal. Macam kita lah kan, what do you want to have for dinner? Entahlah, nak makan benda yang pedas-pedas sikit. But we never name that I want tom yum with satu sudu gula and then satu camca kecil sambal ni. We never explain that. Those are by the designer who are cook lah, tukang masak kat belakang. But we users, we can describe that generally. I want something that's a bit spicy and that is good. Yeah, unless you are a designer and then you can explain that in detail. So this is basically the first parts of empathy, the challenge. Try to understand the users or to have some insight from the user perspective. This is very crucial in terms of design thinking. It involves the process of observing. You have to look at situation. You observe. Kalau tengok kat research paper, dia tak dapat. You have to go and observe, engaging and empathizing your user experience. Feel, go and see how they feel and how they live the life with the current setting that they have. If you are looking at a different perspective, you go there and then you just take note of what is going on. The user's motivation and feeling, why they like to do something and why they don't like to do something. You have to go there and observe. Designers need to immerse physically in the environment. So that means, Dr. Rashid, can you do design thinking online? I say that yes, I can teach the step, but I'm very sure that we don't get anything quite good products at the end. So you have to be immersive experience. You have to go down there, sit there. If you want to conceive something problems in rural area luar bandar, jom kita pergi luar bandar dan kita tengok. If you want to study about solving the traffic in KL, let's go there and we do pasang kemah minta kendaraan di PKL so on. We do really engaging experience so that we know the behaviors of the user. Why we do that? To gain deep understanding. That's all. Yeah, we have to gain deep understanding. Why? I want to share with you. Okay, now the lady with two faces. I think everyone knows this. Saya nak call yang okay lah. Dr. Faizwan, apa khabar? Dr. Faizwan, ada tak tu? Mic okay tak?
Oh, baik. Betul, alhamdulillah.
Okay, Dr. Faizwan, can you see the photo on the left, gambar black and white tu?
Alright.
Nampak? Apa yang Dr. Faizwan nampak?
Alamak, soalan bahaya ni.
What do you see from there? Dia gambar perempuan lah. Tapi perempuan tu macam mana? Cuba describe sikit.
Dia pandang ke belakang.
Perempuan tu
Ni
pandang ke
face
belakang.
nampak lah, dia pandang
Okay.
ke belakang.
Perempuan tu muda ke tua?
Muda. Saya nampak muda.
Muda. Okay, thank you very much.
Muda. Alright.
Thank you very much. Alright.
Okay.
Alright, I want to call another one. Dr. Adi is there. Okay lah, Dr. Rubiah. Dr. Rubiah, apa khabar? Tak ada. Okay. Mungkin mic got. Okay, Dr. Harrison. Dr. Harrison there? Kita ada juga. Okay, never mind. So, time's up. So, kalau tengok gambar tu macam Dr. Faizwan mentioned just now, you see a young lady looking at the left there. Tapi tengok deeper, you can see two ladies actually. One lady looking at the left, this is young one, and the other one is old ladies. If you look at this is the nose, this is mouth, this is the chin. So basically from the same photo, you got two views. First is you might be seeing only one, but bila you look deeper, people say, this ada dua orang kat situ. Ya ke ada dua orang? Dia tengok, yalah dua orang. Why do you have the second thought? In the beginning, you say that you only have, or you can see only one lady, but after second thought, you start to see two ladies. Because you give yourself times and to look at the problem deeper. Yeah, and then you start looking, there's other things. So it's really not worth to fight over, aku nampak perempuan muda lah, aku nampak perempuan tua. It's really not worth to fight. Let's go together and look at the problem. We try to understand from different perspective. And the other one explain, we have both on the picture. Okay, this is a bit of the try to understand the process of empathy. And then the second one, if you look at the photo on the right is the giraffe try to draw the portrait of a lion. If you look at that, I do not know whether this situation is correct or not correct. So the lion asks the giraffe, you draw my portrait, and then the giraffe say, okay, aku draw lah kau punya portrait, but this from top down macam ni. Situation looks okay, but it's not okay. Why? The user, the lion, will be very angry, and the lion is going to eat the giraffe. Kerana lion got different expectation, and the giraffe give different things. So this is basically the mismatch between users and then the designers. So this is empathy is basically to solve this conflict. Yes, you have something that you have in your mind, but why don't you ask the user? What do they really want? Yeah. All right. So the other thing, just this is okay. Another perspective that there's the two guys arguing from the left and the right. If you look at the photo, is both of them are correct because the photo has been drawn that way. So the people on the left going to see the person going to leave 4 sticks, and then the person on the right going to 3 sticks. Basically, just the image thing. So we always want to try to appreciate different perspectives. So how are we going to do the empathy? Basically, there are 3 major steps, we call so-called, and then we call it interview. So then you have to go to the user and ask interview, and then we're going to see the interview. You have to construct a very correct question, because you ask the wrong question, you're going to get the wrong answer. As simple as that. And then observation, you have to be a part of the user. You have to go to in the user environment. If you try to solve or try to come up something have to do with a working mother sending children to the school in the morning, probably you are trying to conceive that problem. And then you cannot sit far. You have to go and sit at the few kindergarten or schools, and then you have to have the collective of users. You're going to do interviews for different jobs and so on, in order for you to get the overall picture of what are the real situations and what they are all about. Yeah. And then the third one, this is something that we normally do, survey. You just ask question, but the survey like the secondary information, yeah, because you don't really observe, let people answer, but this is easiest way to do it. And then now I start to see that people use IoT, to collect data. They put the sensors, because this is one of the startup my ex-students, they are doing the IoT of understanding the users purchasing behavior when they go to pharmacy. So why they take some products and then they put it back. So they are counting how many times you put and put it back. They just want to see why this product, and then they just want to know the behavior. So basically, they use camera, some data center, and then some processing in order to see the behavior. But this is a really bit on business-oriented kind of problem. Yeah. Okay, these are the steps on the empathy. You can do that if you want to understand the user. Okay, for the interview, basically interview is you really engage with the user. I think everyone familiar with the word interview, but the thing is we call empathetic review or really empathy review. You really want to ask to understand them. As I said in the beginning, sometimes when we ask the user, users also cannot explain what do they want. They know like the general thing that they want, but they know that something that they don't like. They like this, they don't like, but it's not really detailed. For example, I asked a lady, what kind of a car that you like? I like car that is small. I can put my children and go out. And then, what about the gas? As long as it's a safe gas, and then not giving me a lot of budget per month, something like that. So they're very general. But the same question, if you ask guys like Dr. Faisal, for example, I want 1.5 cc, and then the top must be how much, and then if possible, when you do parking, the sensors to be there, everything so detailed. Yeah, some users they have that way of describing the desire or what they want, and then some users they are getting only the framework or something that very general. What do they want? This is something that we have to ask the right questions, and then they are going to give the answer that you want. They might give the answer that you want, or they might give something that something else for you to understand more of the situation. But at the end of the interview, what you want to know is about the detail of what do they want. So that's why I put the iceberg there example. Usually in the beginning of the interview, you only get the surface in it, and then you start to go detail why they like to do this. Probably they like try to describe and so on. Actually, I don't like to do this because blah 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 blah, and then you start discover actually there's something else they don't like to do, but they are not able to express it. And then when you start to talk more and more, you start to discover actually if you can solve one of the problem inside there, you can give a very good solution, which is not discovered at the beginning of the interviews. Yeah. So those are some of the questions you can find in order to do interview. The interview have to be very casual. Yeah. And then the interview, this is where, of course, you can. There's some tips of doing the interview. Ada orang dia buat interview, dia bawa dia bagi coklat dulu, just to make sure the users are more comfortable with the one that going to ask or designer. So just make sure they're comfortable, because when you are comfortable, and then only after that you can explain more freely. Yeah. So that's why I put down that designers need to polish up empathy interviews skill. Dia kena duduk dia tanya, because I've done many interviews. Some user they really keep everything to themselves, probably because of personality lah. So we cannot uncover so many things. So this is really like practice thing, and then you try to collect, because at the end of the interview, what you want is really the interview scripts. You really want to interview script. If you go 2 or 3 people, probably one of you record, one of you ask, one of you write. Important thing. And then you go back to the lab and you try to write again the interview script to uncover which is the process that we need next in our the second step. All right, and then when you conduct the interview and then so on, you can do this, we call the empathy map. See what they say, what they think, and what they does, what they do, and then what they feel about something that according to the design teams that you ask. Okay. Before you start any design thinking, usually we have design team. Ada tema. Dia tidak boleh design thinking. This is very broad in a way, but you have to some themes, tema, to guide us not to go too far. For example, you try to have some problem with rural online study challenge, something like that. So that would be the themes, and then you start to go and then start to focus. And probably you want to say that the modern urban agriculture system. So you want to study that. So that would be the themes that you want to solve, and then that would be the rest of the process going to be targeted by that design teams. Yeah. All right. The next process in the empathy is observe. So observe is you need to look at the situation and then just go and observe. So what are the things that we observe? Basically, we use the formula poems. We call poems. People, who are the people there? Dia kerja apa dia buat, berapa umur dia, like profiling of the users. And the objects, what are in the situation? Probably rumah dia besar mana, kecil mana, ada apa depan rumah, alat apa dia guna. Just observing, critical observing. And the environments, what are the environment? Is it hot, cold? Ada selalu meeting ke, tak ada meeting ke? So many things you want to see. Messages, what are the clear messages that you can find in the environment, and then services that is offered in that particular area or situation that you go and assess. Yeah. So this is basically the poems formula that we use. Okay, probably this is an exercise that I did last time. If you look at the situation, you just look at this and then you just write down the poems thing. People, who do you see from the photo? Basically, you have to go to the situation lah. Kita tak boleh pergi kan. So if you are unable to go and access, probably get as many photo related to the situation that you are engaging, and then from there you try to go and look deeply. People, who are the people? Mostly are the lorry and car drivers. Probably on top there are many workers or no workers. Probably there are workers there underneath the unfinished construction. And the objects, there are many objects there. Probably they have this block and so on. Environment seems like not so heavy traffic, but it can be very busy. And the messages, basically you don't see any messages, berbahaya, apa semua tak ada. And the services, saya tak nampak pun services yang ada di sini. So basically, this is how you go. This is how you go one by one in a group, yeah? Because everyone can see different things from their perspective. So basically, this is a second step that you do in empathy. So what you have from the empathy, you have 2 outputs. The first one is the interview script. So people ask how many users that you want to interview, as many as possible, according to time frame. Yeah, last time that we did about 10 for the learning. But if you really develop a good solution, try to ask as many as possible. It's not only the one that use, the one that is going to provide the product they use to transport and so on, or the one that observe the user that going to use, and then also you need to interview as one of the user's profile that you need to capture. Yeah. So and then you have the user interview, you have the observation list, and if you have the survey, you have everything. What next is you go to the define, which is second stage in design thinking. It's define the information obtained from the data that you get here, and then you need to bring out. And each team members, I wrote down here, each team members, you have to work in group. And the best way is your group is not the same field. If you are engineers, try to find an accountant and lawyer to be in your group. And then from there, they are going to see different perspective of the same problem. This is very, very crucial. I think it's very, very crucial. If you're a medical doctor in your team and you have some cikgu bidang lain and try to bring that in your team, especially at the beginning phase, because for them to look and to share with the different way of looking at the problem. If your group semua, contoh saya electrical engineer solve problem tu, tengoklah produk dia sana ni memang bombastic in terms of electrical technology, which is sometimes the users don't want. Okay, as simple as that. So what you do when you have all the observation lists, the observation list and interview scripts, each member will point out from the information all the possible user profile, needs, pain points, and feeling, and wish list. You need to extract the information, and the information will be clustered and design statement will be written, and we call it design goal. So what you do, we call it data extraction. So data extraction, you read, contohnya lah, ini interview script yang macam ni, you record so on. Just take out the sticky notes, write down the main pain point, the profile, pain points, and the need, extract those, and then put it there. Everyone look at the script, also extracts. Well, at the end, when you manage to extract, and then later you need to cluster. How do you cluster it? You need to cluster according to the background, pain points, and needs. There might be so many pain points, there might be so many needs in such a way that you have so many pain points and so many needs, and then you need to cluster something like this. So for example, if talking about the online learning just now, some people talking about the space is a problem. Some people talking about the network as a problem. Some people talking about the interruption of the tools that they use not consistent. Some people talking about the data. Some people talking about the chair. Some people talking about it had different assessment of online. If you start to ask the user and then you start to see so many problems, that going to be the pain points. And then you're going to ask the need as well. Sometimes people say less assessment, so that's a need. And people say that interview would be one assessment, that's also the need. And then you start to cluster those into many needs and pain points in your data clustering process. Yeah. So what we do is just something like this. I just take, and then for example, design session, cool and attractive design will be one, and extraction facilities, and a convenient payment system, efficient, comfortable atmosphere. So comfortable atmosphere is something that seems like the needs. Cool and attractive design also the needs. Extraction facilities also the needs. Convenient payment system and efficient service also seems like the needs. Okay, the needs usually when you address the need is overcome the pain points. Basically, those are reciprocals in a way. Okay, so there are data clustering, and then at the end when you are you finish with the data clustering and so on, you start to write the design statement, or we call design goal. Some techniques in design thinking, they meet the personal profile as persona first, but it's okay. Basically, persona or personal profile is addressing the targeted user needs. So what we do at the end, when you have so many needs and needs and then the pain points, of course you cannot solve all of it. You are not able to solve. Probably you take the most three. So that means 2 pain points and 1 needs. Or you take 2 needs and 1 pain point, something like that. So those will be your design statement at the end you want to solve. If you are picking the very good needs and design, then probably you are able to solve 70% problem. If you are fulfilling 77 over, that is good enough, yeah, in your design. So that will be your design statement at the end as your design goal. Here, I did design thinking with a group, and then we have written the design statement to understand the behavior of undergraduate, behavior of eating pattern in UTM. So we ask staff, we ask postgraduate students, we ask undergraduate students, those that we did last time. We asked so many people. At the end, when we did the interview, we did observation, we cluster and so on. At the end, we found out actually UTM for staff and postgraduate, the eating culture during the daytime, not nighttime, during daytime. The staff and postgraduate, we don't have that much problem actually, because of course they have some problem. For example, the staff, they need to have like Starbucks on campus. Now we have Richiamo or something. They're so different tastes. But the one that is in higher needs is undergraduate students. Why? When we did the study, I mean the interview, actually the undergraduate students, they really want to eat, but they want to eat fast. And then they only want to eat fast, and then during the short break, and even that, they want to still have the good nutritious food. So mereka nak makan cepat, tapi at the same time don't sacrifice the nutritious food. Sedap tak apa, secondary. Or other needs lah, itu other needs. Tapi at the end they want it. They don't worry about the package to cantik. They don't, even though they highlighted that, but at the end, this is the three things that we highlighted. The quick meal, they want to have that quick meal during short break. And then even that, still they want to have good nutritious food. So we found out this is the design statement that we did for, during that study. So basically, design statement just highlighting that. Another bad design statement, for example, how can we solve or how can we help a working mother to have a car that can drive very fast, that can be converted into the flying machine, that can go over water, and it can fit many people. That's not possible at the moment, yeah? Because you have so many needs you address into one design statement. You have to be realistic in a way of finding that you are addressing the one and there's a higher needs, yeah? All right, so that's the design segment, and then you finish with that and you go to next one, we call the ideate. So ideate is the part which is, now you already converge thinking, you have design segment. Now we start to diverge again. The idea is the process is where the designers play their role. This is where the designer come. I have the big statement, and the big statements really come from the users. I've done the process, and the idea, this is where that we are going to, the designer is going to express themselves. They're actually going to, what they have in their head is going to be put into a paper so that other people can see it. So in the idea process, in the third stage of design thinking process, the designer thinking, imagination, and experience play a very big role. So this is where, as I said previously, the designer, even though they have some wish of solving a problem, and then somehow the problem related to their wish, you can express now what do you want, what is your idea to solve the problem. And then create more ideas and thinking outside the box. Don't worry about your idea being funny. Don't worry about your idea being criticized by your group friends. Don't worry. At the moment, just visualize and put it on the mainframe, on the working drawing board. Let people see what you are doing or what you're thinking about finding a solution. That's very important. At this stage, you don't make the product finish and you ask the user. That's too late because the cost is a lot already. Now, from the sketching, from imagination, you start to express and see what people think about it. Only your group mates, yeah? And the idea must be visible and visualized to others. At this stage, we are accept only sketch. You don't write. Because when you write, it's subjected to interpretation as well. You just sketch. So now designer, even though you are not good sketchers, you cannot good sketch. Don't worry. We're not evaluating your quality of sketch. We just want to see your ideas, yeah? So basically at this stage, you start to sketch already. So this is basically the tips. You have to be visual, quantity. We have a lot of ideas and we have to share and then imagination. Look at here, all the sketch that you have only sticky note and you put on the wall, and later you have to pitch to all your friends. So if your sketch, for example, I can't remember already this sketch, the one on the right. it looks like puppet something to me, but when he explained it means something else. Okay, it's okay because the sketch that if you can have the sketch something in media, that's awesome. But anyway, most of us are going to have the first time the sketch not so good. But anyway, your ideas you manage to put it on a paper and people start to see it and you pitch your ideas as you sketch, so people start to understand those. Just want to share with you, this is Thomas Alpha Edison. You look at the first sketch that he has on the phonograph. The phonograph is before they have the, what do you call the floppies is the big one. Apa mesin yang main lagu yang piring hitam tu before they had the pro. How can a mechanical system, they store sound. And zaman digital is okay, you can store sound, you just record everything digital. Zaman dulu dia kena store mechanically, so that is not easy. So so Thomas Alva Edison during that time, I think the sketch is 1877 there, 1877. He made this sketch, very crude sketch, and we do not know what is it. And then when he drew this, he talked to one of his technicians, I want to do this, blah, 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 blah. And then technician say, why are you doing this? What is the dimension? There's no dimension at all. And then from this idea, he come to patent in 1978, 1 year after that. Yeah, one with the dimension of how you function in actual reality. So this is a part of the process. So don't worry about the quality of the sketch. The sketch is something very bad, but the most important thing is the ideas. And again, it has to be visual. Sketch, pitch to your friend, let your friend comment later. Okay? So this is part of ideation. So this is a kind of a diverse thinking. You have to offer a lot of solutions, and then it has to be done in time frame in order to make sure your brain works fast. So in the brainstorming process, you can do this. You can follow the 7 step. Defer judgment. If your friends did the sketch, don't critics. Let them explain, and encourage wild ideas. Really like outside the box thinking. Build on ideas of others. So when your friends start to pitch their ideas, you start to listen. Aha, I think this is a good idea, and then you can top up your ideas based on your friends. So that means you can start to see that the ideas are growing one after another. After the process, you start to see the ideas is going to grow very good. And go for volumes. Don't worry about the quality of ideas at this stage. We go for volume. As long as we want that all the designers are able to express a solution in their own way, it's okay. And then when you start to pitch one conversation at a time, so for example, there are 4 in your groups. So person A start to pitch the idea, let him explain, let it finish. And then later on, you want to give some suggestion. But basically, the first time, we don't give any suggestion. We just want to listen what are the ideas. That's it. Be visual, have to sketch. If people want to write the ideas, it's not acceptable, have to be sketched, just like Thomas Alva Edison did. And then be active. All the group members have to contribute. It doesn't have to be one people sit down at the back and then 3 people are doing the work. It's not way. It is everyone have to contribute. Yeah. Okay, so what are the steps? Basically, the first step, we generate 3 ideas in 3 minutes. So that's the actual process. There are many other processes, but if you are attending with me, 3 ideas. So you have the problem statement, now 3 ideas, 3 minutes. So that means 1 idea, you have to think of something, sketch it, put it, and save it, and then later we're going to pitch. Right? So when the time's up, so 1 person, you have 3 ideas. So if you have 4 person in your group, you're going to have 12 ideas, which is a lot. You don't worry about redundancy of ideas, doesn't matter. 3 ideas. And what's next? So now we go into the process of refining ideas. So everyone has 3 ideas already. So you listen to them, and then you try to look at the ideas that you share already, try to refine the ideas. Remember that all the ideas can be refined. Tak ada orang dia dapat idea great. Great idea dah hujung. Tak ada. They always tap on each other. This is a normal process. Otak kita memang macam tu lah. Psychologically, it has to be on top of another. Incremental in a way. Even though you got a revolutionary idea, destructive innovation kind of idea. But again, it was previously top up one after another. Okay, refine ideas. For example, you have the piece cut paper, and then of course you can add photo. So now it's nicer, isn't it? So what's next? So probably you can have the handle there, so you can hold hot coffee, for example, easier. And then can I add more? Yeah, of course. So it's going to be a cup of coffee, but more decoration on the handle, and you can wrap around the cup, which is okay. And then can you refine further? Yes. Why don't you only have cup, paper cup? Can you have plastic? You can store higher volumes of drink with a cold drink. Can we refine further? Yes, of course. You can go on and on and on and on. So you can have a mug and then you have the pocket of biscuit or biscuit down there. Okay, again, you don't go for practicality yet. Just go and refine ideas, and later we have the process of how to select the best idea. Yeah. So just go on and on and on after you have the idea. So the next is when you refine the ideas, for refine ideas, we'll give you another 3 minutes. You come up with 3 ideas again when the time's up, and then at the end now, at the beginning, you have 3 ideas, you refine, you're going to bet 6 ideas. This is not refining from the top one, but you can refine any ideas that you see, even from yourself or from your friends. Doesn't matter. Yeah. You can just refine, I think this idea, I want to improve that. This idea, I want to improve that. Only that. Only that. Yeah. So that means you don't let your brain work too hard, or you try to find something that is a breakthrough. Relax. Just make sure your brain works casually, and then surely after sometimes you do this, and then you can find something that is good after some combinations. Yeah. And then the third steps, we call it combine ideas. You have so many ideas. Can you combine those, become one, which is more fruitful? For example, the liquid paper in this bottle shape, and then you have a pen. You combine, it's going to be liquid paper in a pen shape, for example. And then you can have a boat and banana. Usually we call banana boats. You can have other ideas like selling banana on a boat, or you can have the store like a boat, but you're selling banana on the top. Or probably you want to have ice cream in the boat cup, and then you put a banana on top. Anything that you can think of, which is practical. Not banana plus but only banana boat. That's not the only solution. This is just example. You can add up to your imagination. You have 2 things. What else can be happen? I remember that I did this in Sweden in 2012 when the way they do it, ideation. They find a newspaper. They put newspaper. They just put the paper, they close your eyes, and then you just go your pen just go and touch the newspaper, and then they see the words that the pen touch. So you take the words, you write on the wall, and then they close your eyes again, and then you put again your pen on newspaper, and then you're going to touch another words. They take 2 words on the wall, they put it there, and they ask us to think, what are the things, the ideas that can come up from these 2 combination of words. So that's kind of practice that I did there with the design team in Sweden last time. So this is one of the ways of how we can generate other ideas. Because remember that akal manusia ni apa saja yang kita pernah nampak saja, apa pernah nampak, rasa, lihat, dengar, those will be stored in your brain. Other than that, we are not able to reach. We're not able. So you have to correlate with other ideas in order to come up with the new ideas. That's why in innovation, networking is very important. And then combine ideas again. You do the 3 minutes, and then you go at the end 9 ideas per designer. So if your group you have 4 person, 9 kali 4 36 ideas, which is a lot. Somebody is going to be a lot. So at the end, what you do at the end is you are going to select the final ideas. This is you need to discuss with your group members. So how to select the good ideas? We have so-called a filter. We call it STEEP analysis. So what is STEEP analysis? This is STEEP, STEEP. So something that's again the society or cultural value in that place, you remove the ideas. Only here, before this, you just express. Only here, you just remove. Technology, something that not technologically viable at the moment, or probably the technology might be in the future too soon, and then probably we can remove that idea as well. And then something that is not environmental friendly, so probably the solution that you use in your products are going to be hazardous to environment, just remove that now. and then economy is something that is not economically viable, also you can remove the solution now. And then of course something that's wrong according to the local law or political needs there, and then you need to remove as well. From there you come up with one solution sketch of one product or one solution, one service that you think that you can offer to a user that you already did the interview and then analysis. Yeah. So basically, when you have that, this is the first part when you call back the users with the sketch, and then you just pitch to users. It is something that they want. So this is the first step, engaging the users in your design. So you have acquired the data, you got to find the design, call them back. You might go there and just do this, and then this is what we're going to propose to you, blah blah. They might be able to give you more information at this stage, and you start to refine again according to design. Probably they say, I don't want this, I want something else. And then you know that you are directing toward the wrong directions. Yeah. And then but anyway, at the cost wise, this is really cost saving because you don't build anything yet. It's only your hours, man hours, only, right? So this is only the design that you try to propose to them. Okay, so what's the next one? Is prototype. Prototype is pretty much to make sure the higher user experience. If we are in technology university, usually we build prototype 3D. So what happened is you want to have more physical meaning to the user. So user not only see from the drawing, but they can touch it. So if you know the size, or this is the size of your product, you want to say the flow of the service that you provide, just provide the flow of product. You can do acting and so on in the prototyping. It depends on the service or product that you want to do. So basically what the main thing in the prototype is try to give the user a higher sense of experience. So that's the meaning of prototype here. You need to build a physical and more meaningful prototype, and then prototype using inexpensive material, a scaled down model as illustrative to the user. So users start to feel, well, this is going to be the product look like, the color and so on. It's not real, it's just prototype. And then later you get feedback again from the users here. So low cost productivity can be made interactively. So that means you have one prototype, the user say adjust here, adjust there, you improve again on and on. Example prototype, remember this is what I did in one of the colleges in Batu Pahat. So from the staff there, they say that their college suram lah, greeting people is not so nice. So they want to improve that. So at the end, after they have done the interviews on, they come out with this is their sketch. At the end, they built this and then electronically control at the moment. If you look at here, the people here, the people actually they can move. They want to have to send like Chuck, ada orang nak panggil, walaupun menakutkan idea dia, tapi this is idea doang. We just we appreciate the idea. So people here when they come, people just hi, how are you, something like that. So probably this is during that technology, but now probably you can have big screen AI detector like greeting people, yeah, something like that. So this is another prototype by the Stanford Hospital, for example. They go to IDEO again. The surgeon try to have the experience of this is going to be, the surgeon cannot express. They just say, I want to have a handle for a surgery needle, so something like that. You just explain by words. So the designer just go out there, just pick a few things and then explain, is this the size that you're going to do? And this, and then the surgeon start to, yeah, I think this is right size, and then probably just put here, put there, and the end they go to manufacturing, and then it becomes something like this. So prototype is as simple as that. You give the user the 3D experience or the physical experience of going through the products or the service that you design, and get the feedback right there before you start to develop the product. Because you start to develop, probably the users don't like the color, probably the user don't like the shapes, probably the user don't like the function, the button that you have, yeah, something like that. So this is like if you are designing UI, user interface for computer, for app, something like that. Probably the first day, you just do prototype the function, just use the paper. You click here, click there, and then you just flip the paper, see what happened when you click here, click there. And then people start to write this, and then you do the digital prototyping. Probably you just use any software that's usually no hard programming yet. probably just click, probably as simple as use PowerPoint, click here, go to which screen, which section, and so on. And then probably when the user start to experience, I think like it, go to the hard coding. Because when you start to do hard coding, you need to have your groups man hour for programmers as well, right? And usually it's not reversible. If your programmers leave you, and then you need to start to hire a new programmer, and then that's another cost. Yeah. Okay, so just make sure that users like it. Okay, at the end, the test is not more than you have a good prototype ready to be launched. The prototype version, the better version, you need to launch into the actual scenario. If you are developing product for rural area, just go there and then let them test. Probably here, the testing is heavier than prototyping. They start guna 2 kali patah. Probably shade not nice. Some people got intrusion and so on. And then people got new experience using that and they don't like it. So you still can improve that. And the test, if you have that in the actual field, you can come back to the other processes before in order to improve the prototype you develop. So basically testing really go out there and test the solutions that you are going to apply to the situations based on the user. Okay, so that's basically the design thinking in a nutshell. Hold on, I want to. I think I stopped, pause 2 minutes. If you have any question you want to ask that, I have another second part of the talk, which is on TRL, and then we are going to miss too much. I'm going to have another thing. What? Okay, is it okay? I think that there are question the chat. Let me see. Ada yang tanya attendance link. Okay, attendance link kita tanya Siti lah. Siti.
Okay, we'll be shared shortly.
Okay, baik.
Okay.
Doktor nak tanya boleh?
Sure.
Aiman daripada Seni Bina. Saya nak tanya you know, during the ideation process tu, ada tak a process where we give feedbacks and critique in between that during the ideation? The next question will be, saya dah lupa dah. I think the first question dah. Nanti saya tanya the second one. Sorry.
Baik, saya mungkin ingat lagi tanya balik, tak ada masalah. So basically for the ideation, the first round too is among the group members. So the comment is only from the group members. So we just entertain. So at this stage, that's why we really encourage you have group members of different background. So when they see the idea, they say, "Oh, why you design this way?" or what, and something like that. That's only mild and relaxing kind of comments lah. So only when you have the sketch, that is only the one that you try to engage the users. Yeah. Because users sometimes, as I said previously, users sometimes the spec apa yang dia nak tu dia tak tahu. They don't know really what do they want. But when you have at least a good sketch, you spend time and then they can say, "Oh, this is what I want." But usually the sketch that we have in ideation, this is not tak cantik lagi lah kan. Nanti nak cerita dia tak faham. They got different view. Ini je kau design dekat aku. Ada benda ni berlaku so something like that. So the final sketch, if you have a good sketch, and then you start to share with the users. And then after that you go to prototype. Yeah.
Okay, my second one boleh
Boleh.
Okay, I mean sebab we do a lot of design process in our design studio, and I think there's a difference between kita as a facilitator atau lecturer dengan student yang engage with this designing process lah.
Yeah.
So I mean in terms of that, macam mana kita as a lecturer facilitate, or are we moderating the session? Are we kita bring students to a certain direction ke, ataupun kalau teruk sangat kita just give out ideas for them to just follow? How do we do that?
No, design thinking is always when we conduct, we always as facilitator. Remember, the one that inspire the design at the end is the users. So basically, we are facilitating, make sure that the participant really follow the process. They really follow the process. Cuma sometimes when we are facilitating, because design thinking way of conducting untuk Asian culture, dia tak biasa. Contohnya tanya interview, kalau orang interview kita pun kita tak berapa nak jawab. So, some interview tu very stiff. So you don't really collect a good information lah basically. So that part really need to be, kita kena pecahkan dulu. That's why need to break away first that, and then later sketch other. There are many of us sketch pun 3 minutes patut 3 idea, tapi at the end they do only 1 idea, and then when they sketch only 1 line. So we facilitate that as long as what they have in the brain is really come out physically or visually on the paper. So we encourage this guy. Facilitator tak boleh kacau dia punya idea. So, but we, because when we conducting so many, we know that the idea tu sebenarnya tempat lain dah ada dah pun. But we can challenge them. Do you think that this is okay? So the question that we ask them is to really like to improve their thinking of producing the ideas lah, basically. We don't interrupt their idea because idea tu idea dia. So we know that now you need to do more lah, maknanya engage. Don't worry, Dr. Aiman, all these release students, if you conduct for them first time, the macam awkward sikit lah. But after they embraced it, and then usually the spark they really like when they got the sketch too nice, and a user come betul, cantik lah benda saya tak pernah terfikir, can you make it? They start to realize, oh jadilah design, and then itu usually the big motivation. So we I understand that some of the many obstacles lah, kalau in terms of conducting design thinking, there are many obstacles in a way. But in terms of researcher that conducting try to come out with very good values from the process, I think it's very good. This is something that I'm going to share next on the TRL level. Yeah. Okay. So probably I just go because of course plus so I just follow the next one. Probably the other question we reserve at the end lah, inshallah. Okay, so just to review a bit of TRL, Technology Readiness Level TRL. Actually, TRL ni yang I think the one that proposed by NASA lah. When they develop products, they want to measure how ready the products really go to full implementation. So here we call it commercialized. It really can go out and be used by the people out there, by the masyarakat at large lah. So if you go like TRL, the 1 to 3 to basically ideas and sedikit validation of ideas, lab based. And then if you go to the prototype, small scale prototype, large scale prototype, if you are doing the research, dah ada sedikit a sense of prototyping. And then validation in the prototype, this is a bit of demonstration prototype, it's a higher level. Yang ke-8-9 ni basically dah sampai if you are doing a robot tu dah pass SIRIM, lepas tu dah ada beberapa act on the safety act, dah pass lah, functional, dah very good, and then you have passed many of testing, and lepas lah dah masuk market. So basically it's 9 commercialization. So is it okay to sell a product without passing any test lah? Kalau produk makanan tak boleh, saya rasa tak sure ni ketanya ICC. If you sell it's illegal. So product for engineering, and then you need to pass, and that is very crucial kalau ada issue especially on the safety of the products. It's not about functioning. Sometimes functioning is good. Sometimes we bought a lot of product from China, functioning is good. But bila guna power rating sebetulnya meletup kejap meletup, rupanya dia tak pass dari safety, tapi they go to commercialization. But anyway, that's different way lah. I'm not going to discuss that. That will be other thought. I just want to discuss with you with how we going to mesh. Saya pun researcher, just like you. Design thinking di mana in the TRL development product, to where are we going to fix this? Yeah, the design thinking so called. So this is level 1, level 2, level 3, I say. So design thinking can start from there at the beginning. So I do the fundamental research, but I do not know where does it go. So for example, I do robotics. Well, robotics ni nak guna kawan robotics is huge, but I do a lot of kinematic dynamics. Kinematic dynamics is very fundamental, so people don't talk about it anymore. but we want to apply robotics for something. So, and then you really have to start from the beginning coming back. So this is a part of design thinking way of constructing the product from beginning. Again, whatever that you do as a researcher, try to find the other connections. Even though you are designing electronic design, very small filter for filtering subsignal, for example, we have to look at the bigger scope. Filter tu berada di sistem mana, sistem tu berada di mana, dan di mana banyak pakai that kind of processing. So that parts tu, your level of towards the user tu, as a researcher kita kena tengok jugalah supaya kita tahu at the end, you see that Tesla dalam tu ada kamera, dalam kamera tu that's my algorithm. We can claim up to that level. So that would be very good if you are able to do it. For example, for those who are doing the bio products, probably you are not producing any capsule or anything, something like that, but you know that some of the formula that are being produced, people are using your IPs, for example. So, and then people know that this process, the extraction, only you know to do it, and then you are doing it at fundamental level, then you know that some people are looking for this process. So something like that. So it has to be some link towards the users in a way, yeah. And then the other part is design thinking at this level. I think I'm looking at research at different view. Some basic fundamental research, the formula and so on, and then they got proof concept simulation based. So you got simulation, you got some design, so on. But remember, when you are developing a solution for users or society at large or industries, they don't really only go for a technical aspect alone. For example, when you are developing a robot, for example, so people out there expecting you to have hands, robot have hands, eyes, something like that. But remember, the definition of robot is some automation, you have some mechanism and mobile, something like that. So sometimes the framework, the robot doesn't look like a robot at all. So, but when you want to reach to other people, they are expecting cover dia tu pun color dia pun macam robot. So maknanya that part also, we as a provider solution, you have to think that as well. So tak pasal-pasal kena panggil industrial designer pun to be part of thing. Okay, part design robot ni you outer, and then you design the functional and all the algorithms like that, I'm going to design something like that. So that's why you need to work with other people in the same, direction lah, anyway. So I can map that in order to improve along TRL, this would be the design thinking framework that you can put lah. Okay, I just want to share with you something that related to me lah. I'm doing a lot of control design and so on. I just want to share. This is a student of mine, Dr. Izzuddin, now working in USIM. We're designing distributed formation multiple control with intelligent distributed observer-based control. Basically, the research when we have quad rotor, many quad rotor. So we want to deploy for rescue mission. So they work in group, they call it in swarm, but somehow if one of the quad rotor being disturbed by wind, for example, so how they're going to rearrange, for example, or one of the quad rotor, there are some battery problems, so they need to be back to the station. So now the formation is not good. Where we're going to deploy this, for example, the rescue mission. For example, if you want to lift something which is really outskirts in the jungle, for example, you need like 3 or 4 quad rotor to lift, for example. But along the mission, some problem with that. How are you going to manage that? So the research is something have to do with that lah. So basically when we have that, so we have to do literature review, kan kita researcher sukalah benda ni, researcher review, and we see there are many ways of doing it, and then we study the consensus based formation is the best in the moment, and then we say that the gap is in nonlinear, and the unlinear we are finding that the gap is very big and huge. People left, and then we try to construct the so-called algorithms lah. And we construct algorithms. These will be algorithms, and there's some math. I don't want to go through the math. I just want to share with you, and all the mathematics there about the proposed algorithms. And you start to derive the Lyapunov, blah blah blah. Find the equation whether this is correct or not correct, and then you start to plug into the system, and then you start to see the result whether really can merge again when one of the problem or having a problem with the wind. And then at the end, the validation. What we do is we try to simulate. Try to simulate here, if you hope you can see. The one on the left is a benchmark. The wind coming from the left and the right, and then the quad rotor 5 of them try to work together. And if you see that if the wind coming very strong, the wind I don't model there's equation. After some time, they cannot stand the wind. All the formation drift somewhere. So this is not good. So the one that we propose, all the corrector, 5 of them coming. I hope you see the video. I'm not sure whether it's too heavy. Hopefully it's okay. So they stay here, 5 of them, even though the wind coming from the left and the bottom here, you can start to see that the corrector are able to remain stiff there with the same amount of power remain to be stiff there. So the wind will not disturb the formation. So when you are commanding to do the task, it's okay. Okay, that's the result that we get. So anyway, so we have many publications. So we are researchers. Right? We want to have publications. So we did. Students did have publications. That's the first project. The second project is the PIL-O. We call it PIL-O. This is students they did in 2015 or 16, something like that. So they start with design thinking. So they try to ask the problem out there. And then when they conceive, they meet a lot of tukang masak, the caterer and as well as housewife. But they found that the big problem in the catering business actually kupas bawang. Kami pun tak tahu. So kupas bawang ni is very costly for caterer. Bawang murah tapi mengupas bawang tu lebih mahal pada harga bawang. We didn't know that. So what happened is many caterers they buy a lot of onion. Onion tu satu guni besar tu katalah RM40 for example. And then cost kupas bawang tu sendiri is RM40. So the onion is RM40, kupas bawang RM40. So the total is RM80. So this is alamak. Can we do something with it? So what happened is that RM40, if you do the peeling of kupas bawang, bukan di Johor, di Skudai, have to have ke outskirt, kampung-kampung jauh, dan kita ada jumpa suri rumah yang tak ada kerja, kita bagi dia buat seharian. Yeah, that's the rate for RM40 per day. If you are in Skudai usually people asking about RM80 to RM120 to kupas satu punya bawang. Very expensive. So for caterer, they have to find different way of doing it. And we found the data, and then they actually there are many other problems. At the end, they zoom in. That would be the one that they're going to solve. And then they design prototype of kupas bawang and so on by mesin basuh yang lama tu, dia ambil, dia kupas, and then we did a lot of designs out there how you can rotate the machine in such a way that bawang tu they'll cut the onion, stick to the wall, and then you're going to peel the kulit lah, the peel out and so on. And this student managed to won 3 awards lah, 3 awards. And at the moment when he won, we called the star came. Actually 7 newspaper came, and then I just quote the star here. And then this is when the student, the undergraduate student, he left anyway, from the Faculty of Education that time. And then we went to the ICC and we managed to build a bigger prototype and design, but we stopped for some reasons. And then this is a prototype. We test 2 times, horizontal new machine and a vertical new machine, just like machine masuk. So when you have horizontal and vertical, what is the impact of peeling the onion? Kita takut onion tu damage. Ada machine kat luar tapi they put water first. So usually the caterer they don't like onion tu dah ada touch dengan water. Somehow the quality cannot stay long lah. So they have to use directly. But some caterer they kupas tapi tak nak guna lagi. So immediately after he won, hari ni won keluar surat khabar, esok saya dapat message pada 2 companies. One of it Fresh and Green, I'm not sure company ni ada lagi tidak. And another company is Ulu Tiram. They ask us, do you have the machine we want to buy? Directly after dia keluar daripada surat khabar. So this happened, but we met the student and the student say, dia buat untuk kelas je kan. So okay lah. So we continue with different group, but didn't manage to get at the end. The idea is still fresh. Well, IP is still there, but I welcome anyone if want to continue with the project. By the end, this is the impact that we're talking about. Right? So I have 2 projects I just want to share with you. So for motion control, if you're talking about TRL level, so for motion control 3, the onion peeler go higher level. So prototype yang dah boleh masuk sikit lagi. Publication for machine control, I got 2 publications, and then PIL-O, there's no publication. IP, of course, I can file IP on the copyright of algorithms for formation control, but I didn't do that. And then PIL-O, they are copyrighted to design. And then cost, this PG students, if you want to develop this, RO and materials. And the next step, this is the next step for the formation control code rotor. This is PIL-O. So next step for formation control or code rotor, collaboration with other research group, because I know that I can't stay alone. To find the drone groups, Dr. Adit also using the drone. And the mechanical groups also have drones. Even Dr. There are many groups doing the drones as well, and we can have more publication. But to commercialization, I think the steps are a bit further. But for the PIL-O, onion pillar, we can move to a higher TRL level. So we just duplicate and then we go to serims, probably for testing and so on. And then we can secure prototype and pre-com grants, for example, and then we start to have business model. So I think that's like two projects in a different magnitude in a way. The weightage might be different in a way. So you can do the weightage according to what you want to do. Okay, this is an example that I think everyone going through the same process as well, right? So the balance, which way is right, which way is wrong, is really depends on what you want to carry on. But if you're talking about the publication, of course, PIL-O can have publication definitely, especially when you're talking about selection of material to peel the onion. So some material we test when it stuck to the onion, the tarik kulit tu tak bagus. Some of it when we start and then some forces stick and then the tarik kulit tu bagus. So that part I think can do a lot of scientific investigation. I've seen one of the publication in Holland. Holland is very good in modern agriculture. We call tech agriculture. I've seen that, but that part he didn't expose. I think that's due to the IP, the selection of material of peeling the onion. Yeah? But they sell the machine anyway in Holland. So this is my current project. Basically, I just want to find something that there's some bit of industrial or societal impact in a way. So I work with civil engineering, Dr. Isni. So we have a few projects. At the end, he was talking about the checking the crack of the building. And then he told me there's one act after bangunan 50 tahun, kena check dia punya kesihatan. Macam orang 40 tahun dan bangunan 50 tahun. So one of they call structure health monitoring, SHM. So one of the things that we have to check is the cracks. So the cracks, basically you have to take the photo of the cracks and then you call the crack maps. So you have to produce crack map. And then this is a very in high demand out there. So how they do it, they deploy a crane, they have inspector, and some area you have drone. If you're very high, you have drone. But the thing is, if you are using a drone, to have the crack map usually very difficult because you have to do the scaling of the camera and how long the cracks the size and so on. But if you deploy a robot, the camera direct to the you can control the distance between the camera and the cracks, so you can scale. You really know the profile of the crack. This is something that the owner of the building wants, a detailed description of the crack. So I managed to get 2 grants under this, FRGS and high impact grants. If the prototype finish, I'm going to go for the MOSTI grant, inshallah. And then a few companies, according to Dr. Izzi, is waiting for the solution. But the thing is, I'm not finished yet with this. So this is the part that when I start to build something as according to what the user wants. Of course, the detail later we're going to share with the company. I cannot expose more on this project because we have some agreement on this. All right, so I think that be the second last slides that I have for today. Design thinking is basically it's a process. Yeah, it's not like the process. It's one of the process that I think it can excite your creativity. You have to run a few times to get comfortable with it. Sometimes the process you have to go here and back. Sorry, I just want to have to read for. you have to be back and forth a few times in order to really embrace the concept of design thinking of coming out with a solution, and you have to open up yourself, open to critics, open to comments from people. Don't worry, because sometimes many of us, when we give comments, quite harsh in a way. Yeah, but don't worry about that. I think we can we learn how to accept. But also from there, we can share with people our comments in a nice way for the improvement. Yeah? Innovative multidisciplinary team members is one of the key factors. I really suggest to work in multidisciplinary team. You don't work only your research group alone. It's very good for one of the project or two. You have some other people. It doesn't matter, even though you really design you very heavy technical specification product. Just call someone else, and then they might ask you very simple question, but you can answer. You design a filter for band pass filter for some solution. Filter ni nak guna kat mana? Kita pun alamak tak tahulah. Maknanya orang kat luar tu, industri mana yang appreciate ni. Sometimes we can map that. We have the solution, it have to be part of a bigger solution. Yeah, this is something that to remember. You are researcher ni, they do the research very heavy at one point. But remember that you have to be a part of bigger solutions. And that's where we have to work with some other people. DT can be run in days, week, or months, depending on the scenarios. Basically, kalau 1 or 2 days tu, bit of learning lah. If you want to really do accurate DT, usually it take minimum weeks lah, in order to come up with quite a good solutions. And then do not be afraid to challenge the norm. Sometimes the solution be radical. This is how we come with disruptive innovation. Don't be afraid. Just to propose something that you seem that a bit crazy in the beginning, but some might be acceptable sometimes. And use DT in research to gain new perspectives is very important. Saya selalu share, why don't you bring whatever that you do to your family first. Probably wife kita atau husband kita tak kerja, we not work in UTM. Just bring, just share what you do. And then they are not in our world, and they give comment. And then share with our children and colleagues around, then they think what you do. And you start to realize that what we do, is it a routine as a researcher? Or probably we do something that is research that is being expected by the people outside. So this is a bit of need some tuning in a way lah, but it can be beyond, the thinking is a bit beyond of what we normally do. Because I'm a researcher, I've been through the process as well. Usually when you start to do the math in detail, especially when trying to find solution scientific problem that you do, you stuck there for some times, and then you have no one to help you. At the end, you start to realize it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, but you spend a lot of time. Even your partner next to you also don't understand what you're doing. So that's a bit of good reflection in overall, if you are to engage design thinking to get a fresh idea of what you do. Okay, rasa enough dah my sharing bebelan saya. So it's only 2 hours. So I reserve the next for the questions session, inshallah. Okay, that's all officially from me. Thank you very much. And then I open the session to Q&A. Iti?
Ya, itulah. Jika ada soalan daripada participants, ada soalan sebelum kita tamatkan sesi kita pada pagi ni. Itulah bagi menjawab soalan-soalan yang nak slides dengan video recording, insya-Allah kita akan emailkan kepada semua participants lah, registered participant yang jangan lupa untuk isi attendance link supaya kita boleh emailkan sekali slides dengan recording. Ada soalan kepada Dr. Rashid? Okay. So macam tak ada soalan Doktor? Okay, so jika tiada soalan, saya rasa
Assalamualaikum. Boleh saya tanya satu soalan?
Ya, boleh. Sila.
Assalamualaikum. Prof. Rashid, Adriana ni. Prof.
Yes, apa khabar? Sorry, termute. Apa khabar, Dr. Riana?
Alhamdulillah, terima
Sorry,
kasih.
sorry. Ya, silakan.
Okay, Prof. Nak tanya sikit. Design thinking ni normally we will do it before or after BMC?
We do before, you can do both lah. You can do both before, after. Kalau if you are looking for solutions, which again, kalau we talk to design thinker Stanford, they never associate design thinking dengan business. Itu macam dia punya cara dia kan, you always have to be user inspired. And if the solution there's some viable way to go to commercialization, and then you engage the BMC. That's satu pandangan lah. That's also BMC design thinking on market perspective as well. But then they capture because of inspired by the market driven. Also possible. I've seen that people have doing that as well. But the one that I cover is like development of products as a solution to some situation lah. So that's the flow lah. If you are doing some business element tu, interview question ni lain sikit lah. There's be different of way of conducting the empathy tu. I've seen both anyway, Dr. Diana, but the one I'm conducting since like before the MC.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Prof.
Yep.
Okay, ada lagi soalan? Okay, kalau tiada soalan, sambil-sambil itulah, sambil nak fikir kan, boleh tak kita ambil gambar sikit untuk kita punya ni program hari ni. So minta turn on the camera. Salah, I contact lagi.
Bila on camera barulah terasa tidak keseorangan.
Ada orang, doktor, ada orang.
Itulah. Dia, when you conducting something like this, you feel that you are alone.
Okay, Doktor. Okay, ada lagi nak
Normal
buka?
ada apa khabar, normal.
Expect. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, ada lagi masuk. Saya ambil lah secara candid lah. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, ada lagi freestyle ke? Ada lagi nak? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, terima kasih. Terima kasih everybody.
Terima kasih Dr. Rashid, terima kasih Sisi.
Okay, terima kasih semua. Jumpa lagi. Sorry for any penyalaan guna perkataan. It's so casual lah. Terima kasih semua.
Okay, terima kasih semua.